What is a good hobby for someone who is time rich and money poor? Honestly, when I remember to actually set time aside and read a good book, I really enjoy it. Obviously not everyone is super into reading, and IDK if you'd consider it a hobby, but it always feels like a better use of my time than watching TV or surfing Reddit. Being time rich and money poor myself, I've recently gotten into sculpting stuff in clay. It has a bit of an upfront cost in getting materials and tools, but with the right clay you can reuse it later if the need be. I'm using castelline myself, which is wax based so can be easily remelted and doesn't dry out. It's incredibly satisfying to take a lump of clay and turn it into something you think looks neat. I messed around with air dry clay for a while. I like that it dries hard, meaning I can sand smooth it, and if you add water it goes back to being clay. Chess costs very little to play, and you can devote all the time in the world to it and realize that you still suck. I have 900 games recorded on chess.com and I'm barely at 1200 rating. This was a little too close to home. Gardening. Even if you're in an apartment, you can get a decent herb garden going for the cost of seeds, potting soil, and a few Dollar Tree pots. Can save you a lot of money too if you cook a lot. Fresh basil is crazy expensive if you are trying to make some of the big curry type dishes. $6 of dang basil just to make my Thai curry dish. Very glad I have basil plants. Needlepoint, cross stitch and hand embroidery are fun, versatile, and very inexpensive. Floss is 43 cents at Walmart if you aren't being super picky. You don't have to use Aida cloth but it's not expensive anyway. If you buy plastic hoops you can reuse them, and the wooden ones aren't expensive either. For all of $20 you can get enough for several projects depending on what you're going for. Check out our embroidery and our cross stitch. Not to mention it's incredibly time consuming. $20 can provide anywhere from like 10 to 100 hours of hobby. Reading. There are so many free reading resources available. Hit up your local library, read a good book, and then discuss it online. Fixing rebuilding computers to sell for spare cash. Go to a local electronics recycler and you can always find pallets of computers businesses have gotten rid of. Most of them still work. They are just contractual obligated to refresh PCs every 3-5 years. My friends and I just went to one last night and bought 12 Lenovo all-in-ones with broken screens, no RAM, no hard drives. Bought all 12 for $150 and they have freaking i5-6500 in them. Those go for $110 a piece on eBay and the motherboards sell for $200 plus. Turn $150 and a couple hours of teardown time into $3,700. And to think their fate was to be torn apart and subjected to powerful acids, furnaces and electrochemical baths, and so on to extract the valuable metals from their innards. Here are some things I've picked up doing in the past few years. Learned sign language. Free on YouTube. Learned how to solve a Rubik's Cube. You can find a good cheap cube on Amazon for under $10. Play disc golf. A local sports store near me sells used disc for $3 to $10. You can also find some fairly good brand new discs for cheap or even just go walk around a disc golf course and probably find a few. Wood carving. Takes nothing more than a knife and wood. Exercise. It's completely free and you can always have goals to keep you entertained. Draw. Use your imagination. Learn chess. It's free online and you can make friends. Learn a new subject. Physics. Languages. History of another country. Use YouTube and Reddit as tools instead of time wasters. Good luck on your adventure. So this is the kind of crap people can get done when they don't endlessly play video games. Frick me. If you're unemployed then I'd recommend a productive hobby like exercising or learning a new skill. Coding, math, languages, etc. Plenty of free online resources. Khan Academy being the most notable one. Anything that helps you retain a sense of self-worth and gives you a feeling of progress. If you still work and just have a lot free time then go for something that takes up a lot of time but you still enjoy doing. Painting, fishing, gaming for example. Only you know what you like doing. I know that MIT has a lot of lectures for classes available online. Some assignments may be available too. I went through some of the classes when I started my new job to catch up to speed on what I would be working with. Baking takes pretty inexpensive ingredients in its most basic form and makes everyone you know happier because you can share your creations. When I was a broke 20-year-old, that's how I spent my time. Made bread, soft pretzels, bagels, cookies, cheese crackers ect. Guitar was an expensive hobby 20 years ago. Nowadays you can get great sounding guitars for under $300. In fact, I started learning guitar a year ago on a $40 electric. No issues with the frets and the intonation is okay. Also, there's no need to spend hundreds on guitar lessons or books. Everything is on the internet nowadays. Let me tack on a piece of advice I give anyone starting out with guitar. Remember, 2 weeks. That's how long you have to put up with your fingers being sore as heck until they get with the program and start pressing strings like you tell them to. If you can make it 2 weeks, you're home free. Volunteer. It's a great way to try new things. I ended up a veterinary technician by volunteering at my local animal shelter. I like to find a big old drain pipe, weasel my way in there, and practice my clapping. Sometimes I can clap so fast the echoes sound like a whole audience. There was this time when I was visiting Australia when I heard clapping out of nowhere. It's been bothering me for years. Juggling. Balancing a broom, pool stick, chair, table etc. on one finger. Farting in the bathtub and turning around really quickly to bite the bubbles. That escalated quickly. If I'm honest, music. If you find an instrument that isn't too expensive, you can get started for under $100. And then, contrary to popular belief, that's all you need to pay. Of course, higher quality instruments are more expensive and private lessons are of course expensive, but there is a great wealth of free tuition videos on YouTube. Of course, I don't know your situation, but if you're willing to put in a little bit of money to begin with, you'll have hundreds of hours of pleasure ahead of you. Unfortunately not for woodwinds, sun flute as far as I know, reeds, cork grease, etc. Reeds are expensive. Video games can be cheap, but time consuming. I've got a friend who's got something like 2,000 hours in Rust. Civ can just eat away the hours as well. EVE Online and TF2 are others like that. Days, WoW, and Skyrim are a couple more. Lots of older video games are super cheap, and lots of online ones are free or cheap monthly. I guess you were looking for a hobby though and not a time-draining addiction. My boyfriend plays Overwatch every single day for 1-2 hours, and I wouldn't even say he's addicted tbh. Like if he has to do something else he'll stop gaming, and he doesn't necessarily just want to sit and do it all day. Gaming seems expensive up front, but the sheer amount of time he gets out of one $80 online game makes it insanely cheap. Web and app development. It can be fun, rewarding, and then bam, you're not poor anymore when you get an above average paying job in the field, and you can learn it all for free online. What a time to be alive. Drawing. There are lots of online tutorials and you really only need pencil, paper, eraser. Also reading and writing. Get a library card and indulge in a new genre. Tennis. Almost every town has free courts in parks. You can buy a racket for $15, a tube of 3 balls for a few dollars. Just grab a friend and start playing. You had me going until you added that friend part. If interested in gaming, go back to the old games you've left behind and start hunting for all the trophies, achievements to up your level gamma score. Walking around looking for money, but seriously, running isn't bad. Good shoes are the only real investment you need, around $100, $120 per pair, and good for 400-500 miles of running in my experience. It will make you feel good about yourself and do great things for your health. Pro tip, your running shoes are for running only. Don't wear them for other stuff. They aren't cheap and you need to know how many miles are on them so you can decide when to replace them. I do look for money when I walk outside. I made 11 cents of euro yesterday. Biggest find this year was 10 euros, except for an iPhone, but I had to search for the owner as well, which I found, and gave the iPhone back. Personally, I've been catching up on shows I want to watch, putting together puzzles, painting, and working on a cross stitch that I've been doing for forever. I also started making cat toys for my mom since she and a few people are starting up a new cat rescue. I'm going to try to keep making toys that are super easy to make and give them to her to either use for the cats they have or sell for money to go towards the rescue. I'm sure there's some kind of skill you have that can be used to help the community. It gives me something to do and it's nice knowing I'm helping my mom even though I'm 2 hours away from her. If you have some kind of skill that you could use to help an organization that you care about, that can be really rewarding. Learn to code. There is a free course offered by Harvard called CS50 and is aimed at the most basic and entry-level computer scientists. It's the gateway to more specific and complex programming, which can lead to gainful employment. Read Mark in Mad Bank, fam. Coin roll hunting. Go to the bank and ask for a box of pennies or nickels. Go through them to find rare, valuable, and or collectible coins. In a box of pennies you can find a lot of wheats and the very occasional Indian head cent. I average either one buffalo nickel or silver war nickel per box. Return the rest to the bank and repeat. Your only cost is the amount of coins you keep. Lawyering is pretty cool. I generally recommend this whenever I see this thread brought up. I know you generally don't see people lawyering anymore, but there still is a community and it's still a lot of fun. Even the higher end lawyers don't run a lot of money. Starting out, you probably won't even spend under $40. Less than that honestly. I haven't been up on my prices of lawyers. There are thousands of videos online for practicing tricks. Once you get a base knowledge, you can start combining stuff and making your own routines. It's a lot of fun. Source: been lawyering since I was in grade school. I'm a lawyer too and sometimes I'll spend hours trying to make a trick and thinking it's only been 10 minutes. I'm starting my life from scratch for the third time in 2 years. I don't have a job right now, so I'm focusing on exercising and learning. Recovering mind and body. Cheap, but valuable. Considering you probably have a computer, being on Reddit and all, and you have at the very least the camera on your phone and can get a decent camera really cheaply now. Photography and image editing, which is the major time portion of photography anyway, is something to consider. Photography is nice because it gives you an excuse and a reason to go the new places, explore, and find unusual or interesting things. Contrary to what people will tell you, it doesn't have to be an expensive hobby at all. It can easily become one. But what makes a good photographer is having a good eye and knowing the capabilities of your equipment. You can take amazing photos with your phone as easily as you can with a $10,000 bunch of equipment, as long as you understand what the phone is capable of doing and not doing. Check the reject bin on Coinsta machines at Walmart. Those machines reject silver coins and euros. Nice way to get into coin collecting. Ha, I didn't know they reject silver. I always assumed getting silver quarters from people who don't know any better is a successful way to profit. Learn. Go to Coursera, Khan Academy, EDX. There are tons of amazing free courses from the best professors at your fingertips. You just need a computer and time. If you keep at it, then you can also get certified for a small sum. Not as fancy as a university degree, but why cheaper. I envy you. Writing. Seriously, write crappy erotica rags for Amazon. 20 pages. People will buy and read that crap and you can cobble them together into collections every 3-4 books and get even more reads. Seriously, you can barely try and people will still buy them because sex. I'd say to put in some time to work on a passion of yours. Whether you're working on making your songwriting skills better or crafting your art style to be the best it can be, working on something you love to do, or something you'd want to do, will make those hours pass by. Warframe is a pretty good hobby if you've got a lot of time on your hands. After 120 hours you might even be able to farm a Riven mod. Yoga. Good way to keep yourself moving. Also helps with constipation, insomnia, and stress. Allegedly. Have not tried it long enough to confirm. There are a lot of apps and videos on YouTube to get started. Mats though. Mats are not cheap. Neither are yoga pants. It's why I do it solo in privacy. Neither are yoga pants. As a guy, yoga clothes are hard to find and expensive. I use knockoff Under Armour from Walmart and a pair of shorts. Become a volunteer in the local volunteer fire department, or EMS service may cost a little gas money, but they pay for training and the equipment you need, but it can take up a lot of time. It can also be very rewarding and may give you a career to boot. Library roulette. Pick a number, let's say 5. Go to the 5th shelf you find and pick out the 5th book and read it. Do this with some friends and find out who got the worst or best book after having to read it. Become a compassionate listener. There's an app called 7 Cups, which provides online therapy and free support to people experiencing emotional distress by connecting them with trained listeners. To become a listener, you need to undergo some straightforward training, all done via the app, and you'll have some practice runs before actually connecting with someone needing help. You don't connect with anybody until you feel ready to. I've been a compassionate listener on and off for a while now. If you feel that you're an empathetic person who's good at listening, it's a really great thing to do. It always amazes me how much better people feel just by having someone actually listen to them, and it makes me feel good knowing I've helped someone. The waits for a user to connect to a listener can still be quite long as there are more users than listeners, so it would be great if more people would join. Bicycling. For about $100 you can get a perfectly functional used road bike. It'll be heavy and it won't have any bells and whistles that newer fancy ones have, but it'll be fun as crap and a great way to exercise and get around. Woodworking. It takes a bit of cash to get going for equipment, but you don't need much starting out. And at least where I'm from, people have to pay to get rid of wooden pallets and skids and would be more than happy to let you scoop them up. No projects or deadlines, just start cutting crap and nailing it together till things start to take shape and it builds from there. Foraging. It is amazing what grows wild, and it means free food, which is often better than you can buy. Oh, and improves your health, as you will be out walking and eating healthy, cooking your free food. Be careful with those shrooms. A professor at my college killed himself, his wife and one of their kids with bad foraged mushrooms. I felt so bad for the surviving daughter. I have a lot of hobbies past interests that fit this description, so I'll list them off. Juggling. You just need a few balls and online tutorials. You can get to going some really cool tricks and patterns if you put some time in, and eventually you could try clubs, but those are more expensive. Juggling. Sewing. I only do the slightest bit now, but even just trying to make little stuffed things from scrap felt is really fun, and you can really do whatever you want with it, even if it's just by hand. At the very least it's useful for quickly mending things. Sewing. Knitting, crochet. Both only need yarn and a hook, needles. This one is similar to the sewing. Fun and lets you just make things. I enjoy crocheting a little more because it has a little for freedom to be creative as a beginner, but both are nice time consumers. Knitting, crochet. Origami. I started off with an origami book that came with paper, but you can make most things with regular copy paper. Same as all of these. There's thousands of YouTube videos and plenty of it is beginner friendly. Something like a dragon egg is mostly simple but very time consuming. However, you end up with a very cool looking ball. Origami. Speed cubbing. A nice 3x3, not Rubik's brand, can be about $20, and you can easily learn the beginner method from the internet and start doing solves. You can get faster and faster and eventually learn more advanced methods and ones that require more memorization, or move to bigger cubes, or smaller on the 2x2. Cubers. Guitar. While not the cheapest, I got my very cheap electric and amp combo for about $180, but you could maybe find a better deal or go acoustic and not need an amp. You can put so much time into guitar after that first investment, and there's so many free resources online. Guitar. Unicycling. You can probably find a decent one for less than $100. I'd recommend a 20-inch, and you can spend a good amount of time learning from tutorials. Once you get riding down, you can learn more tricks, more mounts, or just ride around your town. Unicycling. Sitting on a little wall on the street and gossiping about your neighbors. If it's too hot outside, you can also speak with your dog and explain him abstract concepts. Sure, he understands as he nods, but what I prefer is buying a Lego box and craft different things again and again and again. Low investment, reusable infinitely. Flipping furniture. You can find so much decent, even great, furniture on the side of the road that somebody just doesn't have the energy to sell. Clean it up well. Buy a spray can of chalk paint, no priming or sanding, and a can of polyurethane, and you can start making money. Watch some YouTube videos for tips. I suggest posting on Facebook Marketplace, Let's Go, and OfferUp. Craigslist is good too, but scarier, since those people use burner accounts. You may break even on the first piece, but you will quickly start making money. Wild food foraging. Very rewarding and costs basically nothing. I highly recommend lurking online forums on Reddit and Facebook. You can learn a lot of edible mushrooms and plants pretty quickly. If you have a computer that is less than 10 years old, download the game Factorio. Poof, months will disappear, and if you play enough you will skip meals and save money on food. Woodworking. Tools to do simple stuff are cheap and the rabbit hole is multiple lifetimes type huge to learn stuff. Plus you can easily make things to sell to offset tool costs. I've got a fairly well equipped hobbyist shop that's paid for itself a few times over selling small basic projects. A good portion of what I do is small enough that I usually end up with leftovers that I can use for my own stuff and do that all free of cost. Disc golf. For most public courses, as opposed to competition courses, all you need is a driver and a putter to get started. Both can be obtained used for less than $20 combined at a disc golf shop. One round of 18 holes generally takes me 1.5 hours, and that time creeps upwards when I play with friends. I used to occupy tons of time with it. After initial purchase, the only cost is gas to get there. Buying more discs gear is entirely optional. When I wasn't playing, I was watching YouTube videos from professionals, so I had new stuff to practice out on the course. Disc golf is great for all sorts of emotional release too. Really just wanna relax and chill with some friends? Go leisurely make your way around the course. Someone really pee you off and need to blow off steam? Go out there with some beer, your music of choice, and freaking chuck those discs like the basket is the bee who pee you off. Feeling down and need a boost? Go hit the course and run through your favorite holes. Nothing like some good throws to help you feel better. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.